Okay, now let's go over anything that you had for section 2-5, which is what? All right, let's take a close look at 22, and I'll erase it a little bit up here so you can see what I was talking about. Now, for 22, don't be confused by the negative. All right, let me blow it up so I can show you. Now, again, I would want everybody to be able to say, I'm moving the 3 to the other side. When I move the 3 to the other side, it becomes negative 43 is equal to. The negative is still out in front of the absolute value. All right? So because there's a negative out in front of the absolute value, it's kind of like a -1. All right? But I would want you to just know when there's a negative in front of the variable, that just means change the sign. So in this case, this changes to a positive, and this changes to a what? That's how you simplify that. So then, of course, it's just 6n plus 7 equals 43, and 6n plus 7 equals negative 43, and then we go from there. All right? Do I need to go any further, or is that good?
Yeah, that's fine. I just
All right. Yes. Brian, what?
26.
20.
Or no, not 26.
30. Here we go. Now, on 30, again, let me just get rid of this. All right. Again, we're talking about isolating, right? So you have to add the 5. When you add the 5, that's what? 96, correct? And then the 8's in front, so I have to do what? Divide. 96 divided by 8. 12. So I have the absolute value of 3 minus 3n equals 12. Right? So now you can say 3 minus 3n equals 12, and 3 minus 3n equals negative 12. So n equals, again, good mental math there, negative 3, and over here, n equals 5.
See what I messed up.
James,
Oh,
I really don't. Sandra.
I didn't get -3 or 5.
Okay, so I'll go in slow motion. Here we go. So I'm going to erase this real quick just to show you. Now, again, if you want, you can put -3, right? So that would be negative 3n equals 9. And so n equals negative 3. Agreed? And over here, negative 3n equals negative 15. All right. Anybody else? Good. All right, let's take a look and see what's wrong with 28. Bless you. All right, so on 28, I feel like when you isolate the absolute value, correct? You're going to add 9, which makes it,
No, 16. Or no, 14. Sorry.
then divided by.
7, 16.
Right, so you should be able to write 10v minus 2 equals 2, right? And 10v minus 2 equals.
Okay, sorry, I messed up on
All right, it's okay.
part before that.
I don't get for when it's negative. How do you get -12 for question 30 on the second one? The 91 is supposed to be negative.
It's not negative 91. Did you hear my explanation? You're trying to repeat information rather than listen. What do you have to do? Isolate the absolute value.
I know, but when the answer's a -91 and then you add 5, and divide by 8. How do you
James,
get
listen, I'm really not trying to be mean to you, but listen to what I'm saying. You're not hearing what I'm telling you. You think you're correct, so you're dismissing everything that I say. You're not even hearing me. You think it should be 91 and negative 91. And I'm trying to tell you that's not correct. Your thought is not correct. Let me correct you. You have to isolate the absolute value. What does that mean, James? I have to do what first?
get rid of all the things?
So what do I do first?
You add 5.
And then what?
5 by 8.
So I'm not sure why you're saying anything about a negative 91. Where is there a negative 91 in there?
Well, how do you get to the 15, to 3n equals 15?
Where is 3n equals 15?
On the right.
That's negative 3n equals negative 15.
Yeah, but I don't get how you got to 15. I mean, how do you get to negative 12? To get to
Because once I isolated the absolute value, I set it equal to 12, and I set it equal to negative 12. How did you do 30 of these problems and not know that?
I thought that you took the original answer 91 and isolated it, but I thought it was a negative first instead of the final absolute.
That's what I'm saying. You got that. The point I'm trying to make to you is that's why I gave the answers. So you should have been checking your answers and know that they were not correct. Or you could have just referred back to all the problems that I did with you yesterday. That's what I'm trying to say. And the reason why I'm fussing at you is because you're super smart, and there's no reason for you to ask me that. You didn't get what I said. So essentially, you missed everything past 15. From 15 down, you didn't know how to do it. Right? Now, do you understand how to do it, right? You isolate the radical first. Please, James, let me tell you, right, how to do something, and then try not to think that you're right. And listen to my explanations, because you know I'm going to be right. All right? You isolate the absolute value first and foremost. Then you set it equal to whatever the absolute value is equal to, and you set it equal to the negative of that. Does that make sense? All right, so you got lots of correcting to do. And the reason why I'm fussing at you is because if you start out missing 15, you've taught yourself incorrectly how to do 15 through 30. All right, does everybody understand what I'm trying to tell James?
Yes.
Right, I promise you, if you listen to me, I'm going to steer you in the right direction. If you're doing something different than I am, you should stop what you're doing. All right? This is the algorithm. This is how you solve an absolute value problem. All right? You cannot deviate from that. All right? You can't, or it will be wrong. All right? Now, again, that was a great lesson. All right? And I'm happy with James because he knows I'm fussing with him, and he's still asking me questions. All right? So you have to be willing to do that also. But you have to be listening to me. If you're listening, I'm not going to be frustrated. All right? It's simple. All right? Very simple. All right? Now, honestly, does anybody have anything else? I really don't mind because those were good questions. And hopefully that made better sense for some of you who may have been unsure. All right? Does anybody have any questions? Yes, good.
So, like, I'm kind of confused on.
All I'm asking you is what number do you want me to look at?
Well, like, just 24.
Okay, so let's look at 24, buddy. What I want you to do is I want you to tell me what's in the way.
Like, you gotta get rid of 3 and 59, but I'm.
Not 3 and 59, but the 3 and the
4.
4, yes. So what do I have to do first?
You add 3. You add 4.
How do you undo plus 3?
Oh, minus 2.
How do I undo multiplying by 4?
Divided by 4.
Right, so your brain should be able to say,
Oh, so you minus 3 divided by 4?
wow, that is it.
Oh, okay.
It's like solving an equation.
Right, I get it.
You with me? And then
Yeah.
you set it equal to 14 and negative 14, right? Because 59 to minus 3 is 56. 56 divided by 4 is 14.
Right.
All right, that's all there is to it. It's like solving an equation. All right, it's just annoying because every one of these equations has what? 2 equations. All right? Anybody else? Anybody else? All right. Again, we have a lot to do today. All right, a lot. So I want to jump now into the new worksheet, which is 2.7.
Yeah.
Oh, is it 2.7 there though?
No.
I mean, is 2.7 there for some of you guys?
Mine says 2 through 5 absolute value.
Well, that's not.
It's not 2.7.
Okay, so today's new lesson is finding the percent of change. All right, whether it's an increase or a decrease, we don't really need to discuss because obviously if it goes up, it's an increase. If it goes down, it's a decrease. What you need to know, all right, for the formula. Does anybody remember the formula from last year? All right, we would say the percent of increase or decrease is equal to the change divided by the original, all right? The change divided by the original. All right, so a lot of times you have to read the word problems carefully, all right, to figure out what the original was. All right, it's always the change divided by the original. All right, the change divided by the original. And if I'm not mistaken, too, on your iPad somewhere there is a calculator. Is that true?
It's
Yeah. All right. But again, for us right now, it doesn't matter what type of calculator. You don't need the graphing calculator for these problems. All right. But I also want to practice the mental math with you because, again, you can dazzle people next year when you can do some of this work in your head. All right. I'll try to show you how to do that. All right. So right now, what I want to do is I have the original was 25 and the new price is 10. All right. So what's the change?
Oh,
15, right? So it would be the change would be 15 over the original, which would be what? 25, right? So everybody's looking at that and trying to get into hundreds, correct? So that would be 60 out of 100, correct? Which would be a what? 60% decrease. All right. How did I get 60? Remember, we're making percentages out of 100, right? So I multiplied this by 4, and I multiplied this by 4. All right. If you're unsure, you could literally just do and reduce by 5 if you wanted to, or you could take your calculator and divide 15 by 25.
How do you do fractions over
Just divide 15 divided by 25. Come on now.
Oh, okay.
How do we do it? It started at what? It started at what?
Oh.
And went to what number? From 25 to what? Is that an increase or a decrease? You with me now, right? That's all we're doing. All right?
Oh, okay.
It's the change. I went from 25 to 10. What's the change? The change. All right, the change is simply the difference between the original and the new. That's all it is. All right, should be relatively easy. All right. So for number 3, let's see if we're okay. So what's the change? 5 over 55. Now I would write that as 111. All right. Now 1/11 I can't really get exactly to 100. Right. So if you have a calculator, you could do 1 divided by 11. All right. And what is 1 divided by 11?
0.09.
Repeating, right?
Yeah.
Now, because we're brilliant, we're going to write 9.
9%. Wait, no.
Now, it's 9 repeated, right?
Yes.
So it would be, wow, this is really kind of tricky. Because 9 repeated is the same as what? 9 over 9, which was the weird one, which is 1, right?
Yeah.
So there's lots of cool things we could do here. So we're just going to say 9.9%. 9.9%. All right. If you said 10%, I'm not even going to argue. What?
So if it was like, if it wasn't a 9.
We'll get to that. We'll get to all the different possibilities.
Okay.
Yes.
So is it still would it still be 9.9 repeating if I got my calculator says 0.090909.
That's what mine says too.
Oh, so that's completely different, guys. That's completely different, guys. All right, thank you again, James. Listen, that was not on your calculator 0.09 with a 9 repeating. It's 0909, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so it would be this is what it would be this is what we're looking at. The fraction or the bar would be over the whole thing, correct? All right. So that would be more like 9.1% is okay if you write that. Now, if you want, it's also the same as, and here's where I'm trying to make you a little bit smarter, 9 1/11%, right? Because what is 0.09? 0.09 repeated is the fraction what? 1/11. How did I know that? Because we just did that problem. All right. Now, if you're a little doubt about that, I'm not going to put that on the test as far as what the expectation is. I would like some of you guys who want to be really smart, I would want you to know that. That's all. I'm not asking you to reproduce that. I'm just simply saying I want you to see the numbers and understand the numbers. What?
So you got 9.1% by moving the decimal twice.
Yes, right?
How did you get 1?
Because if I move the decimal over, right, it is 9, well, it's 909090. If I move the decimal,
Oh, and then
oh, actually it would be what? No, no, because I
Yeah.
forgot. It was 0.09, right? So now when you move it over once, twice, it's 9.1%. But I would like you to recognize 0.09 as 1/11. All right, so technically it's 9 1/11%. All right, now because that went so smoothly, let's try the next one. All right, so from 50 to 30, what's the change? 20, right? So this should be, everybody, we don't need a calculator on this one. I would want you to write 20 out of what? I'd want you to write 20 out of 50, which is obviously 40 over 100, which is, yes, 40% decrease. All right, this was a decrease over here too. All right. All right. Now, from 48 to 60 was what?
12.
12
over
over 48, which is 1/4, correct?
25%.
Yeah, 25% increase. All right, simple as that. All right.
so easy.
Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the total price. All right. Now, again, this shouldn't be bad, but I also want to talk to you about this, about how you should understand this better and how you can use your calculator really efficiently. All right. So $69 is what percent of the dress?
Oh.
Very good. You pay 100%, right? Now there's a tax of 5%. Who's paying that? You are, right? So you add the 5%, which means you're paying for what? You're paying 105%, right? So if you're going to pay 105%, that means you have to pay the regular $69 plus an additional 5%. So because we're smart, we know to find the total price, I can take 69 and multiply it by, no, by what? No, by 1.05. If you multiply by 0.05, that's just going to give you the tax. And then when you add that back in, that'll give you the total amount. So I'm saving you a step here. It doesn't ask for the tax. It asks for the what? The total price. So you're going to multiply 69 times 1.05.
And you get 72.
So it would be $72.45. Now again, this is super important for you. All right, as a consumer, you need to understand this. All right. So you're going to buy a book for $28.95, but there's 6% tax. So you're going to take $28.95 and multiply it by what? By 1.06. And now you're rounding to the nearest penny. So what would that be? $30.70 or 7 cents?
What's this? 30.68.
No, that's to the nearest dime.
Oh.
To the nearest penny, what would that be? 60. All right, $30.69. All right, remember you're rounding to the hundred spot for decimals. All right, dealing with money. All right. Now, for some reason, this is a problem when we start doing 6.5%. So I want you to write 6 times, what am I going to multiply that by? Connor, come on, don't daydream, follow me. Not exactly.
6.5.
No. 1.065. All right? Yes, if you multiplied by 0.065, that would just give you the what, though? Tax. Right? So listen to what I'm telling you now, guys. This is on every SAT test, on every standardized test. All right? So when you multiply that out, we're rounding to the nearest penny. So help me, somebody.
I got
$6.39. All right? Now, if you don't have your calculator, I'm okay with you just kind of writing down the answer. But tonight, you got to make sure you get your calculator ready. Understand what we're talking about. All right, so now you're going to buy a basketball at 6% tax. So you're going to take 17 and multiply it by 1.06 and help me. $18.02. All right. Okay, now I need your attention here, please. Yes, sir.
How do you know how many zeros to put behind
Well, it's 100% plus 6%, which is 106%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you move the decimal 2 places, always.
Oh, okay.
All right? Now, here's what I tried to show you last year also. If you have a backpack that's $56.25 and there's a 20% discount, then you only have to pay what?
80%.
You only have to pay 80%. Hello? You only have to pay 80%, right? So the backpack is going to cost you 56.25 times what? Times what? 0.8. The 0.2 would give you the what? The discount. I don't care about the discount. I want to know how much I have to pay. All right, so you have to pay generally what? 100%. But if there's a 20% discount, now you only have to pay what? 80%. All right, so somebody tell me what the new cost would be?
45.
Exactly?
Yes.
All right, exactly $45. Thank you. All right. What? I don't know. I'm not doing it. I want you to type in on your calculator 56.25 and multiply by 0.8. That's what they're doing. All right. For the CD, It's going to be 15.99 times what? 0.8. That is correct again. All right, so everybody's doing that. And that worked out to be $12 and what? 79. Again, just double check your work. We're not arguing over the work. Everybody in here can type in 15.99 times 0.8. All right. And now we normally going to buy a sleeping bag for 125, but it's on sale. So it'd be 125 times what?
75.
Times 0.75.
And it's $93.75.
$93.75. Okay? So I'm agreeing with you guys. This is simple, simple. All right? So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the next page. All right.
Oh, 92?
What?
You know, it's 93.
Why did I do what? Shh. Because 100 minus 70 or minus 25 is. All right. So now I'm not thinking anything is harder on the next one, except the fact that the numbers are a little trickier, right? They're not as simple. All right. So you definitely would need your calculator on that. Discounts, no big deal. All right. So what I want to do is I just want to jump to 22 real quick. All right. I want everybody to jump down to the second worksheet, number 22. All right. Very easy. All right. I'm trying to find the final price. All right. So to find the final price, I'm starting with what? A television that costs $375. They say it's discounted 25%, so I'd have to multiply that by what?
By 75.
By point what? I'd multiply that by 0.75. That would give me the discounted price,
Yeah.
correct? Now I need to figure out the tax, right? So I would multiply that answer by what?
0.81.
Yeah.
1.06.
Yes, 1.06. All right, now someone has asked me an interesting question. Does it matter if you do the tax first and then the discount?
Nope.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yes, because you get a new price.
Okay, so let me. The reason why it actually doesn't, because there's something called the commutative property of multiplication, right? If I multiply, watch what I'm trying to show you. That's why I like my notability here. If I move this over here and I move this over here, would the answer change?
No.
No, it's like 3 times 2 times 4. Does it matter what order that you multiply 3 times 2 times 4 in? No, it doesn't make a bit of difference. Most people would assume that they would want to take the discount before they pay the tax. But does it really matter? No, it makes no difference. Trust me. It makes no difference on that. All right? Now, the next thing I'm trying to get you to realize is this is super important information. All right? You don't take a shortcut on this. Practice with your calculator on getting the solutions. All right? It's very important. All right? Now, let's look at 25. All right? And then I'll go to some of the word problems. It says the price per share of a stock decreased from 90 to 36. By what percent? So that's very easy also. So I would just do what?
Oh, isn't it like
So it started at what? 90. And then it went to, so how do I find it? Change over the original. So somebody help me. What's 90 minus 36?
54?
54 over the original, which is 90. And if I divide by 9, that would be 6 over 10, which is the same as what?
60%.
Yeah, you lost 60%. All right? 60% decrease. Simple formula, guys. Simple formula. All right? Now I'm going to look down here at the word problems here. Let's take a look at number 1. All right? It says, a regulation girls fast-pitch softball diamond has bases that are 60 feet apart. A regulation professional baseball diamond has bases that are 50% farther apart. All right? So if it's 50% farther, what would I do?
I know the answer.
Tell me, that's what I'm asking.
It would be 90.
It would be 90 feet. All right? Now, the reason that was easy is because you could say, what's 50% of 60?
Just add half.
Shh. What's
Oh,
50%?
60 is 32, 30 plus 60.
Or what I'm trying to get you to realize is that I could take 60 and multiply it by what?
1.05.
1.5, right? Because 100% plus 50% is 150%. Everybody good with that? And so then you would just multiply that, 60 times 1.5. All right? Now listen, guys. I'm done. All right? I want all 3 worksheets done. Now, why is it easy? Because you can use a
Calculator.
use a calculator. I don't mind. If you don't have a calculator, you can use a calculator on your iPad. All right, that's perfectly fine. I don't have any extras because I told you I had like 10 last year, and I let 10 people borrow it, and they still didn't return it yet. I'm expecting it back.
I'm so sorry.